Welcome back to the channel. Most of you know me as a barrister who helps you understand law, but only perhaps some of you will know that I'm also a financial advisor in the form of a mortgage advisor, although I don't do that anymore. In this video, I want to use that knowledge to assist you in this financial crisis, to save money and not just to survive, but also to thrive. So welcome back. I am a barrister who helps you to understand law, but once upon a time I also qualified as a mortgage advisor, mainly to supplement the knowledge for my own investments, but it's also come in useful to assist clients in the work that I do as a barrister. Now, just as none of what I say can be taken as legal advice, neither can anything that I say be taken as financial advice. But that said, I do hope that the tips that I give you in this video will help you. Let's get to it. But first of all, there's a philosophy that underpins the entirety of this video, and that is one of patterns and triggers. So all the way through this video, think about this, because a trigger is perhaps a singular event which is going to trigger a cost, and a pattern is something that you're doing on a regular basis, which again is adding up to a certain cost. So if you bear those in mind throughout this video, it will assist you in putting into place the tips and the tricks that I'm going to share with you that I use in my everyday life to make the very best value of money and earnings and of course savings. So very briefly, a trigger could be a one-off event that costs you some money. Having a child is a trigger, but then that creates a pattern. So the pattern, the ongoing pattern, is what you need to spend on an ongoing basis, the things you need to do daily. And it's in this section that you can really make the biggest savings. And there's actually a fantastic book about this whole concept by an American author, David Bach, called The Latte Factor, which I will link in the description below as an affiliate link. But I didn't come across this concept from his book. Actually, I naturally grew to use and develop this behavior myself through my own thoughts and processes to save money every single day. So what is the latte factor? Well, quite simply, every single day you do things that cost you money. Now, to explain this, I'm going to give you a little bit of a story. So one day I was out for a big meal with a bunch of friends, and some chap was assigned the seat next to me whom I'd never been acquainted with. And during the course of conversation, he said that he was struggling financially, he was thinking of leaving his job, and he was just not able to make ends meet. And he so desperately wanted to either earn more money or just have more money for the things that he wanted. And somehow or another, he'd heard of me and wanted to glean from me some tips and tricks to improve his lifestyle. So we struck up a conversation, and it went a little bit like this. I asked him what his daily routine is. And he said, well, he gets up in the morning and he goes straight out. He stops off somewhere to get coffee because he's up so early. And then mid-morning he's hungry, so he goes to find a sandwich. Lunchtime he goes to find lunch, and so on and so forth. So he told me about his day. And by telling me about his day, I literally said, let's get a napkin and write down everything you spend on a daily basis that are the little things that you might think are insignificant. So he wrote down the price of a cup of coffee, the price of a sandwich, and these are things that he did day in and day out. And he was working 6 days a week, so everything that we wrote down was pretty much being spent every single day. So we would write them down and multiply this by 6. We ended up with a monthly figure of what he was spending on coffee, what he was spending on sandwiches, and what he was spending on lunches, and all of these things in between, to add up to a figure which, if he were to save somehow, then this, he agreed, would either be a large chunk towards his mortgage or to enable him to, I don't know, buy something else that he wanted, that he would really improve the quality of his life with. And so whilst this might sound totally obvious, that coffee every morning, £3.50, £3.80 or whatever it might have been, could be saved every single day that he was going out if he were to prepare it at home and take it with him. Obviously, he said, well, I don't like coffee at home because it's just not good enough. He said he's tried various cups and coffee machines and things like that, and they just weren't good enough. But here's the thing. People are readily willing to spend that amount of money every single day on a coffee. But either way, when you think about it, spending that amount of money on a cup of coffee is quite disproportionate to, say, buying a bag of beans to make the coffee yourself. And yet lots of people are not willing to spend enough on a coffee machine to get coffee that they like. But now, of course, at least you can see where the term latte factor came from. It's these little expenditures every single day that add up. Because if he was spending £3.80 every single day on a coffee for 6 days a week, that was £22 a week, which is £90 or thereabouts per month. If you add to that roughly £3 to £4 for his sandwich or lunch, let's say it was a meal deal that he was buying, which was £4, again times 6 and times 4 for the month is again close to £100 a month. So already on coffee and lunch, we've got £200 a month that he could perhaps save in some way if he were to eliminate those costs from his daily routine. But of course, it didn't just end there. It was never just one coffee and it was never just one meal deal that he was spending every single day, but he was spending it. So all of these things we added up together and we were not far off £500 a month that he was spending that he could either cut out or could replace somehow by buying some kind of alternative. Now, as it happens, I'm a big coffee fan, so I could certainly not have given up the coffee in this analysis, but instead I do enjoy my own coffee now because I bought a decent machine myself. Now again, I'm going to link it in the description below. It is an affiliate link, but that's not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is to assist you in eliminating this latte factor from your life, which if you add up could again save you hundreds of pounds every single month. And that is just one tip, which I'm not going to bore you with, but you can go through your life and add up all of these things that are having a snowball effect on what you spend every single month. You need to take the time to write all of these down and calculate what you spend and then how you can save it. So that's tip number one. Tip number two is buying in bulk, or waiting until you can buy in bulk, because if you buy an individual item, it's obviously more expensive than buying in bulk. But buying in bulk, you need to store something, but it also needs planning. Now, I have a very quaint little story for you which illustrates this absolutely perfectly. Many years ago, I was traveling with a friend and we were trying to save money. We were doing it on a budget to make sure that we didn't go over a certain amount every day, every week, and so on. So we're in a very hot climate, on a very long walk, and both desperately thirsty. First, we came across some sort of booth which would sell a very small drink at a fairly high price. My friend decided to blow his daily budget on this drink at that moment because he wanted it now. I decided to wait, because I knew that if we just held out for another, whatever it was, 2 or 3 miles, I could buy a large bottle which would last me the rest of the day, either for the same money or for less money. Sure enough, by the time we got there, my friend was thirsty again, and we got to this shop. I used exactly the same amount of money to buy probably 5 or 6 times the amount that he had. Sure enough, he wanted some of mine. Now, we had a conversation, a bit tongue-in-cheek. He obviously wanted mine. I said no. Now, at this point, you might think I'm quite mean, but it did teach my friend quite an important lesson, which is if you buy in bulk, you can get many times more and it will last a lot longer. It just means that you might need to suffer that short amount of time until you buy that amount in bulk, until you can store it, and it will actually serve you very much longer. Now, we still employ this strategy very much as we go along today. I buy my coffee in bulk from Amazon. I'll link that in the description below as well. We buy toilet rolls in bulk and we store them in a spare room because they are literally a third of the price that we buy them from the supermarket, and practically anything else that we can buy in larger quantities in as much bulk as we can, and we find somewhere to store it. Yes, it does have a much bigger upfront cost that you have to front somehow, but there are many ways of financing this on a credit card, which is 0% for so many months. This is not financial advice. So long as you pay that back, either over the period of time or by the time the interest kicks in, it doesn't cost you any more to actually buy the thing because you're paying it over time. It's 0%, but you do get the benefit of buying in bulk and you have it to last very much longer. Paying as you go, because it's a single unit, single consumption, more convenient, is always going to be significantly more expensive than buying in bulk. And when you multiply this across all of the things that you buy, it is going to be a huge amount cheaper than if you buy as and when you need it. My third tip for you is actually a bit of a bugbear of mine, because I know lots and lots of people that do this. My third tip is don't be wasteful, because so many people waste a good percentage of everything they buy, whether it's food, whether it's drink, even cars, whether they lease them or they hire purchase and then they get rid of it after so many years. They lose all of the depreciation up front, but then they don't get the long-term benefit of owning the car. So many people that I know will change their car every 2 or 3 years and lose all of the depreciation in the first couple of years and not benefit from the long-term use of that vehicle. But this principle applies to so many different things as well, and it comes into the price and the quality, which I'll come back to in a moment. But it applies to so many different things because so many people will throw something out rather than repair it. So, for example, for many years I will replace the soles on shoes rather than replace the shoes, because resoling them and rehealing them will be maybe 10 or 15 pounds, but to buy a new pair of shoes is a minimum of £100 for a reasonable pair of shoes. But also that then plays into quality. For example, I have a few pairs of shoes which are several £100s more than my average shoes, but I've never had to resole them, I've never had to reheel them, and some of them are over 10 years old by now, and they still look absolutely brand new. Just like some coats that I have are more expensive. I have one cashmere long winter coat that I've had since I think I was about 17 that I still have now because it was very good quality then. So again, investing up front will last very much longer. Even for children's clothes, for the boy, we bought very good quality clothes because they will last a long time. If you buy the cheaper ones for a few pounds, they tend to wear out very quickly, whereas when you buy the very good quality ones, the stains will come out, they don't break, they don't get holes as much, they don't stretch, they don't discolor, they don't disfigure, and many of those we've actually given away and other people have used them afterwards. They've been that good quality. And I also mentioned and joked just recently over on Black Belt Secrets, linked in the description below by the way if you're not subscribed there, where I took the class because the teachers told me I shouldn't, because they said it was designed for girls, to learn to sew. And I even repair socks over the years, because a good pair of socks is still a good pair of socks. If it gets a hole and you throw it away, you've lost the pair of socks. So I am absolutely not ashamed to admit that I will sew up a hole in a pair of socks, because there's nothing wrong with the socks apart from the hole. But once you've sewed it up, they're just as good as new for a while. When they get a few holes, yeah, I throw them away and I swap them out. But if you buy a good pair of socks, they will last anyway. But when you get a hole in them, just sew them up. And the same goes for other things. If you can repair them, take the time, take the effort to repair them. Tip number 4 is to be as productive as you possibly can with your time. So many people waste time that you could otherwise better spend elsewhere to learn a new skill, to improve your earning potential, or even to start a business on the side. It really isn't that difficult anymore to start a business on the side. Buy a website, start writing, add Amazon affiliate products to it. I'm not ashamed to admit that I do earn some money from Amazon affiliate products. In fact, I've done this for many, many years. It's been one of my business strategies since I was very young. I was building websites since I was very young. I built businesses since I was very young. All the time I will learn new skills, I will read new books, and generally make the very best use of time that I can. I get up early, I generally go to bed late. I have a light alarm that wakes me up, so it's not an abrupt alarm. I'll link that in the description below as well. In the autumn, when the light starts to disappear and people get less motivated, I buy what's called a SAD light, or seasonal affective disorder light. It sounds worse than it is, I suppose, but it just gives you that energy in the autumn to get up earlier and to get more productive, more active, and to simply just get more done in the early hours of the morning. But tip number 5, and absolutely the best tip of all, is to buy more books. I've always said to my son, and I say to everybody I meet, you can never waste money on books because there is always something to learn. There is always more to read. And the more you read, the more you digest, the more you develop yourself, your earning potential, everything will improve together. You can earn more money, you can save more money, and generally you will have a better lifestyle. So there it is. I know this is a slightly different format than my usual video, but in the times that we are in, I just thought it would be useful to share with you quite raw and openly some of my tips, some of the things that I actively, genuinely do every single day to improve my lifestyle, my earning potential, my savings, and so on. So if you found any of that useful, please hit me up in the comments below. Make sure you like the video and subscribe. And as always, thank you for watching.